Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line, presented by Offside News. My name's Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by my favorite and lovely co-host,
Yay, I'm the favorite!
Marcie. I don't know where favorite came from.
Yeah, who should... Are you seeing other co-hosts behind my back?
No.
Hmm.
It's like me calling my sister my favorite sister. I only have the one.
Still your favorite.
But yeah, hello. We are officially at the start of Four Nations break.
Woo!
But that does mean that we have two Leaf games to talk about before we have no Leaf games to talk about for about 2 weeks. So I guess let's get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start with Toronto, Seattle on Thursday night. Anthony Stolarz coming back. Did you forget that happened?
Look, I've had a day and I also wasn't awake for this game. I'm just saying, like, we have 2 games to talk about, and I was like, what? When was the other one?
For those not in the... Because we are a video... Mar just made a face of, like, realization of, like, oh yeah, Anthony Stolarz is back from injury. Sporting the typical Leafs goalie injury beard, in which... Sorry, it's an ongoing thing at this point. But yes, Anthony Stolarz gets the start in his first game in 8 weeks. His last one was against the Ducks in December, which that was so long ago.
We've lived 1,000 lives.
Yeah, we truly have, because that was like so many games ago. How many games? It was so many episodes ago too.
So much has happened.
It's so many pages ago in my notebook too.
Oh my god, speaking of notebooks,
that was like fully like 20 pages ago in my notebook.
Oh my god. No, I went into a shop and I bought some notebooks last week, and they had one that was like from the Fourth Line coloured. And I was so tempted to buy it, but I only needed one.
Wow.
I'll be back. I will
not dedicated to the brand.
I'm sorry I don't use a notebook to make my notes in. I'll go back next time I'm by the train station. Friday. I'm walking past the shop on Friday. On Valentine's Day, I'll buy a notebook.
But yeah, so Anthony Stolarz gets the start versus Joey Daccord. Mitch Marner back in the lineup. I think I can't remember if we talked about it last episode. I don't think we did. But Marner explained that the reason why is he had a spasm that he then correlated to the Nordic spa that the team went to before their game in Calgary, which I think is genuinely hilarious.
So funny.
Like, being like, yeah, back spasm might have been the spa.
Yeah, we chilled out too hard.
Chilled out too hard, something spasmed. I don't know if it was back. I said back because that's usually what it is, but it could have been literally like any muscle. But yes, Craig Berube deciding with Marner's return to the lineup to go with a that is the wrong number that I've written down there. I wrote 81 instead of 88. What can I say? Phil Kessel, my goat.
Oh my god.
But Marner was back in the lineup. He was on the second line with William Nylander and John Tavares, which looks cool on paper, was okay in practice. But we'll get more into that later because we can talk about that when we talk about Vancouver, because we can also then talk about Max Domi. Again, we can have the same conversation that we had last episode about Max Domi on the top line.
Please don't make us talk about it again.
But the Leafs opened the scoring against Seattle with a goal from none other than Philippe Myers.
No
I felt like I weirdly manifested this because I was doing some good old fashioned internet stalking. It wasn't even internet stalking. I was just looking through Leafs Instagram pages. I do this occasionally because I also don't follow any of them.
That's my
job. I like to just check in. I don't follow any of them. Actually, that's a lie. I follow Joseph Wool and that's it.
Yes, you do.
I also follow Leafs legend Zach Aston Reese for the dog content and Luke Prokop. Those are the only hockey players I follow on Instagram, which I think everyone's really shocked by because they're like, "But Emma, you're so plugged in. Why don't you follow everyone?" Because I don't need to.
That's what I'm.
I also I have no desire. I don't need to know what they're up to, except I'll check in on them occasionally and just see. So I was looking at Philippe Myers' Instagram where I was going through whatever, found out that the actor Charlie Gillespie from Julie and the Phantoms follows them, and I was like, sure, whatever. And I understand that New Brunswick is very small, and they are both from Moncton area and speak French. I'm like, they probably knew each other. They probably know each other. That's not at all shocking whatsoever. That information does not surprise me. But it was just a fun little tidbit, and I felt like I really manifested this goal because of that. Because I was talking about Philippe Myers, and I don't often do.
Thank you.
So, but yeah, he opens the scoring. And I think also he has a rocket of a shot that I don't think people realize, which sometimes turns into him scoring his first goal in I think it was something 300 days or for his first goal in a while, his first goal as a Leaf as well, and shot from the point. It was also on that goal the 500th career assist for Mitch Marner, making him the fastest Leaf to achieve that milestone and also the third among active players to do so, joining Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid. Which
Mitch Marner, you are not real.
Which also I point to this and go, hey, people who say we should not re-sign Mitch Marner, what's this?
Yeah, do you want to just look at this and need to say that again? Oh Mitch.
Yeah. But awesome. Congratulations, Mitch Marner. Yeah. Career achievement. One of those things where I'm like, see? Retire his number. Leaf for life.
Leaf for life.
Leaf for life. Leafs very obviously were the more dominant team in this game. It also just proves hey, Joey Daccord, very good. Very good. But Matthew Knies then puts the Leafs up 2-0 with a chip in front of the net. Matthew Knies, where else? And then they reviewed it for a high stick. I honestly was watching this and I thought that it would have been called back for a high stick. Because because off of the basis of that John Tavares goal in Calgary that was called back for a high stick and so it was one of those ones where it's okay, so if that got called back, surely this where Matthew Knies' stick was higher than John Tavares's would also get called back for a high stick, in which it led me also and furthered my belief that goalie interference is not the rule that people have trouble understanding. It is high stick in front of the net.
Yeah.
in terms of like, I know it's the crossbar, but it's like, it's not, you can have your stick above the crossbar, but if the part that hits the puck is below the crossbar, then it's not. I was like, sure, whatever. It was reviewed for high stick, still good, goal counted. Matthew Nice did a very good thing in trying to fool the refs into thinking it wasn't him who scored, and it was actually Jake McCabe by having McCabe go through the lineup first, in which then Matthews had a really funny response to that, being like, I don't know why he thought that he like that would work. There's like 1,000 cameras on him.
So so stupid.
It was in that moment where I'm like, that is why he has the Brick nickname.
Yeah. He tries, bless him.
The effort's there.
It's the thought that counts. Well, not the thought, because there's not many of them going on, but
yeah.
He tried.
Yeah. And then I also have a note here, just strong return of Morgan Riley's game. This road trip has been fantastic for him. He's played great this road trip. We'll talk a little bit more when we talk about the Vancouver game, but like you can tell he's playing with a lot more confidence than he had been in earlier parts of this season in terms of being able to like trust his abilities. And there was a really great article in The Athletic that came out last week that was about Morgan Riley and like his game and like why he's probably maybe struggled a little bit this season. It was an interview with him, and there were some quotes from him in there as well. And it just shows like the support that Craig Berube is giving him and things like that. And I know he did have a really good reason, which is like what I suspected was just like having to get used to a new system in a way that you've never played like that before in your NHL career with like any of the previous coaches, and also like worrying about making mistakes defensively and having that impact your offensive output. You know what I mean? Like overthinking. And he has his confidence back, and it showed in this one. He got an assist in this game against Seattle. But yeah. Bobby McMahon then. Bobby McMahon, what a road trip for Bobby McMahon.
Bobby McMahon.
3 goals in 3 games now at this point for him on this road trip. He did not score against Vancouver, spoiler alert, but in 3 games, 3 goals in 4 games, I should say, on this road trip for him. But this one was power play goal, I believe, if I remember correctly. I think it was. I probably should have looked. I did not. But anyways, what I would say is like Bobby McMahon has been that bright spot in terms of secondary offense that can come from. It was a power play goal. There we go.
Yeah.
From the second unit, and I was going to say, I was like, the second unit also has been effective in the power play since the new year, along with the top unit, which is really good. That's great. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So the fact that both of those units can score on the power play is pretty good. And Bobby McMahon also as well has been a huge bright spot when it comes to depth offense for the Leafs as well. Offense coming from that bottom 6 forward group where it hasn't really been coming from certain players. And like sometimes, and here's where I go, doesn't matter. Like maybe you want some more offense from like Nick Robertson's come and start, like he's been there in little spurts. Your Bobby McMahon, of course, has hit a new career high with goals this season. He's obviously scoring. And like your fourth line, you don't like, if you could get offense from your top 3 lines, your fourth line doesn't necessarily have to score for you. And I think that's what a lot of people are misconstruing, but it's the fact that like the Leafs oftentimes are not getting a ton of offense from their third line consistently. And, some of that just comes from the fact that they don't truly have a proper third line center there, because it can't be Pontus Holmberg. It can't be Max Domi, so you have to kind of get what you can get. And Bobby McMahon truly has been carrying that line in certain aspects where it's like, but you want a third line center who can carry that line as well. So
Yeah.
maybe it'll be Scott Laughton. I was so over the Scott Laughton conversations. It's not because I don't like Scott Laughton. It's purely because I was like, guys, giving up Fraser Mitten for Scott Laughton is the dumbest freaking move Brad Treliving could
Why?
make, and it's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in terms of the fact of like, why would you do that? That doesn't make sense in terms of like building for the future at all. And it's like, well, like I'm like, but you want to still like be good now and be competitive now, but also like help ensure that you're going to be competitive later. And trading Fraser Mitten is not going to help you accomplish that because like Scott Laughton is older, and it's like one of those things from like, guys, please.
No, for real.
And also, I'm sorry, Fraser Mitten for Scott Laughton, and especially when you're like, well, then also a first. That's overpayment. That's overpayment. I don't think you're realizing like that's overpayment. And you're like, but it's no, overpayment. Anyways, but yeah, just to finish it off, also like Seattle scores one at the top of the third period to make it 3-1, and that's the game. I want to say amazing game from Anthony Stolarz. He had a brilliant save on Brandon Montour early on, which just robbed him out midair, and then does a little like smirk and a wink at his former teammate. And I was like, you little shit. And I say that with so much affection in my voice. I was like, Anthony Stolarz, you are so cool. Because it's like, but just makes that amazing save. And like, it was so strong in his return, which is great. Is, kind of a great preview into, I think, what we can get in the second half of the season. I know we've already passed the halfway mark, but like, I think truly like everyone considers this break at the break in February as kind of more of a halfway point um than like the actual 41 game halfway mark tends to be. Just because there's still a considerable amount of the season left. Like, we're still a month out from the trade deadline, so there's still a lot that can happen.
Yeah.
But I think, from him halfway, like, it shows great in the fact of like Leafs got good goaltending that seems so solid when they're healthy. And I know people are gonna be like, well, when they're healthy, I'm like, but
Shut up. Shut up. Let us be happy.
enjoy
Please.
it. I don't know why people always have to like look for the negative in a situation where it's like, enjoy it. There's more aspects of this game that we could specifically complain about, but at the end of the day, 2 points is 2 points. The Leafs won. That means they've won the road trip with this game. And just take away the positives from this one, and there was a bunch of positives from this one. So with this game as well, Anthony Stolarz, he had a save. His season save percentage is up to a 929.
It's beautiful.
Which
It's beautiful.
Which should be league leading, but because of the the parameters that NHL.com has in terms of the game, the minimum of game plays is 25 now, which I don't want that filter. Get rid of it. My God, give me that. It's sorry, I'm like mad at this. Let me have this. I'm doing this on my phone from the NHL app. I should just do it on my computer. But I like they do it like minimum games 25. Anthony Stolarz this season has played 18, but he has a 929 save percentage, which would put him league leading. but not with the parameters of 25 games, which I think is dumb. I know it's half of the season. But like, have we considered giving us a little something of like, hey,
Where
take a
is
look
the
at
win?
this. Yeah. He also has a goals against average of 2.08 on the season now as well, which puts him second behind Connor Hellebuck, who's going to win the Vezina this year, no doubt about it. But yeah, because Connor Hellebuck leads by a lot in basically every other category.
Yeah.
Like wins, shootouts, like save percent. Like just I'm like, okay, this is getting unfair.
A pretty decent season.
Yeah. I should say also as well, in terms of talking about Seattle, Leafs just were the better team at the end of the day. And also as well, Joey Daccord is really good and unfortunately is playing behind a team that is not that great.
Yeah.
But if only Joey Daccord had his Canadian passport. Sorry.
A girl can dream.
Yeah. But yeah, so moving on to Vancouver, this was Saturday Hockey Night in Canada, which if you watch the broadcast,
Mm.
the Hockey Night in Canada intro was fantastic. It was Stefan Dutchman, Charlie XCX. It led to me to tweeting John Tavares Brat.
Top 10 Emma Pebby one tweets ever.
John. But also as well as like that one frame of where it's like Joseph Wool in the intro and it's got his name in the Brat font. I am waiting for like I'm like almost a little bit upset where I'm like, okay, I'm going to like waiting for that, like we now are on like a 2-week break, so I'm gonna have to wait like 2 weeks before we get to use it.
It's too long. We can't have nice things. Why are we not allowed to have fun?
But yeah, so that was so fun. I loved it. I was like, this is fantastic. This is so great. It's one of those things where it's like, I know, people have often like criticized, people have made edits, whatever. All I want to say is I know there's going to be ways that people can find to criticize this in terms of like in terms of like how oftentimes people who are primarily women have made, or teen girls have made edits of like hockey edits to pop songs, and how people have criticized them, right, for not being real fans, whatever. It is important to note that like you can criticize Sportsnet for being like, well, wait to like, take something that's already existed, blah, 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 whatever. But also you can like recognize the fact that like, hey, it's kind of a big deal that this is playing on, like that they're using this song on Hockey Night in Canada because it's a huge platform for hockey in Canada in order to normalize this among hockey audiences of like, hey, if Sportsnet's doing it, then maybe people won't be as inclined in the future to be as vitriol towards like fans who make them. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because then people automatically were like, well, like, when I was like, guys, I think sometimes people are like too negative about things all the time, or automatically go towards the negative, where it's like, I think sometimes we just have to appreciate things for what they are. I don't know. I know that's like also, it's like, there's no point in me saying that about the internet. The internet's always going to be negative, but also like, I don't know. Just my opinion on the aspect. But in terms of starting goaltenders, we had Joseph Wool against fellow BC alum Thatcher Demko. fun little BC narrative there in terms of they were both starters at their time in BC, Boston College, I should say. Also, speaking of which, Beanpot today, Boston College versus Boston U. Yeah, last time that happened was 2016, which Thatcher Demko was the starting goaltender for that game. But also, I do want to shout out Jacob Forsbacka Carlson played in 2016. I don't think people like I'm like realizing that people aren't as sicko as I am about specifically just the name of Jacob Forsbacka Carlson. The name that went on the back of his jersey when he played like 29 games in the NHL for the Boston Bruins was Forsbacka Carlson.
Incredible.
That's what on the back of I like. It's incredible. I think he's retired from hockey now at this point because his hockey DB page like doesn't go past 2021. But like the nameplate on the back of his jersey, I honestly like if I wasn't because this was all like 2016, like 2018, if I wasn't like 15, and also like a diehard Leafs fan. Yeah. I think it just would have been cool to own a Forsbacka Carlson jersey just purely for the nameplate.
Yeah.
People
like crazy.
Like, man, what a name. Sorry, I'm just like
what a name.
What a name. But yeah, so a couple Joseph Wool took over the net as a starter at BC after Thatcher, like immediately after Thatcher Demko left Boston College. Fun fact. But also as well, there was no Quinn Hughes in the lineup either, as he is battling an injury not related to his hand that has been seen in a brace and all taped up and everything. It was actually due to an oblique injury. We will talk more about the Quinn Hughes injury in a little bit. But speaking of injury, Thatcher Demko leaves the game early. I think it was like 10 minutes in. He leaves due to potentially an injury. There's no update, but he just left and Kevin Lankinen went in. Okay.
Sure.
Sure. But yeah, I don't know. No one really knew. There was like two different explanations going around. I think one of them at the time was like, hey, maybe he tweaked something in warm up. The other one was like, hey, maybe he got hit by a shot. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. Vancouver opens the scoring with a goal from Philip Hronek. I'll say this. No one had him on the right side net front. Dude was wide open.
Yep.
Which, yeah. I don't know, play defense. This is, though, the point where I get to talk about Max Domi's ineffectiveness on the top line. Leafs started this game sticking out with the top line of Nyes, Matthews, and Domi. It very obviously does not work in the way of I watched Matthew Nyes do a brilliant through the legs, no look back pass that landed directly on Max Domi's stick. Landed perfectly on Max Domi's stick, and he missed the shot. He did not. And then that scoring chance, that brilliant scoring chance where he had a clear shooting lane, no one was on him. That was a brilliant play, like highlight play made by Matthew Nyes. Was wasted on Max Domi's inability to shoot the puck.
Why?
I just want to say, I saw this coming.
Yeah. I just... Please stop trying to make Max Domi work. It's not gonna happen.
Just
it's so frustrating as well, like watching it real time happen. It was one of those things where I just kind of sat there in silence. Like, I didn't even sigh. I just sat there and I was like, you know what?
You know what part of the game I was talking about though, right?
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And it was like that was a big moment mostly just because like Matthew Nyes made a brilliant play in which you are like, oh yeah, Matthew Nyes. It actually like I'm not saying oh like we know he's good at hockey, but like we know him more as a power forward, but then he does the thing like that and you're like, oh yeah,
Yes.
he also can
Oh,
do that. Like he can do all the things that we see
Matthew
him do every game. And then he does that and you're like, oh yeah, he also is good at that.
oh,
But like just ugh. It was one of those things where it's like he just maxed out like bad defensively, was not shooting the puck when he should have, wasn't
mm,
even like making great plays either. It was very much one of those things where like he doesn't work and he doesn't work anywhere in the Leafs lineup in terms of like they've literally tried him everywhere.
mm,
They've literally tried him everywhere. They've tried him top line, they've tried him on the second line, they've tried him on the third line, they've tried him at on like third line center, they've tried him on the wings. Like they've tried him anywhere, everywhere, and it just doesn't work. And it's not working. Like maybe he'll have like a little spurt of success at the beginning, or he'll have like a series of a few games where he plays really well, but then like he just gets bogged down because like he can't if he's asked upon to drive a line, he can't drive a line.
no.
Because and this all comes back to a conversation that like once we get Cody on the show, which we are planning to do very soon, it'll be really great because we can talk about like player IQ. I think it will probably be next week. Knock on
Yeah.
wood. But just because like probably be next week because timing and also it'll allow us to just spend more time talking about things like this and not specifically having to do it in a game recap and stuff like that. But like
Mhm.
it's one of those like just doesn't have that ability and he has to play on in really niche spots in the lineup and it's like no but you want the flexibility if someone's hurt or if you want to switch things up or you think there's a need to switch things up that you should
Mm,
be able to and it's like one of those things where it's like okay Bobby McMahon definitely like his role is not meant to be on the top line but like when Matthew Nyes was hurt you could throw Bobby McMahon on that top line and like he won't be as effective as Matthew Nyes but he'll still be able to like keep up and
yeah.
like play well, right? And it's one of those things where it's like Max Domi, he can't do that. You can't expect him on that top line to have any sort of impact. But yeah. Morgan Riley though ties it up. Cats yeah, I also have noted here is his best stretch of play of the season was this road trip. Really caps it off by scoring a goal here. His
Mm,
first in close to a month, I believe.
yeah.
First in a while, I should say also as well. His parents were in attendance because he is from Vancouver. So that was pretty cool. Dope. I don't know. I like Morgan Riley. I have his jersey, so it's like made me happy. Um, but yeah, no, it is really nice. Hopefully, he gets to kind of reset, relax during this 2 week break, and that, when the NHL games come back after Four Nations, it's right where we left off in terms of his game because it's been so great these like 4 games on the road. And maybe Leafs have 1 game at home and then they finish off the month of February on the road. So we will see. Um,
Mhm.
Rockbuster then puts the Vancouver Canucks ahead 2-1. I think I watched him score that exact same goal in the playoffs last year. And the Leafs try a valiant effort to tie it up at the end. I think that at one point they were like 6-on-4 because they got the penalty, whatever. They got the not penalty, but they got the power play. didn't happen, but Lankinen was great. He's a really good goalie.
Yeah.
This season. Joseph Wool also had a strong game as well. In this one. And I think that's always been true with him. I think like to put this into perspective of like how close of a game this was, and just also in terms of like the fact of like Leafs just got shut down offensively. Canucks defense is, even without Quinn Hughes, Canucks are a good team and have strong defense and things like that. Joseph Wool had a .920 save percentage this game. That's higher than his season average of .909.
It's Joseph Wool. Full stop. It's crazy.
Joseph Wool. But yeah, there was just a lack of offense. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, well, like Matthews is on a goalless drought. Like he hasn't scored a goal in a while. Yeah, but he's providing a lot of assists. He's had 6 assists. Like he had 3 assists against Calgary. He had 6 assists across the past 3 games or something like that. And I think also some of that comes from like, hey, you take away the guy who is the best at feeding him scoring chances in Mitch Marner. Like you take that guy away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you take that guy off his line. Well, of course, yeah, no, he's not going to score as many goals because you're replacing him with someone who cannot do what Mitch Marner can do. So, yeah, the Leafs, though, are on a break. We will have episodes before the Leafs' next game against Carolina on February 22nd. This is weird. Like,
I don't like it.
I mean, I say this as if we didn't do this for the All-Star break, but I think also that was slightly different because I was going back recently through like old notes and stuff to see. I was like, what did we talk about? Like, I was like, how did we kind of, so for episode structure and like our episode, like what we're going to do for our schedule wise, you might see a change in schedule for us. We'll see. Just heads up on that aspect. But I was looking through and I was like, oh, what did we have in terms of like, I was like, oh, how did we do it? Well, turns out like enough happened in and around the All-Star break for the Leafs that like we could fill up full episodes without having to talk about the Leafs. I was like looking at it and it's like, I think there was like coaches getting fired. There was like extension, like
classic.
I think if I like remember correctly, there was like, yeah, I could probably pull it up quickly right here, and like take a look at it. In terms of like, oh yeah, it was like, oh here, wait, what? Yeah, LA fired their head coach. There were Elias Lindholm got traded to Vancouver.
Oh yeah.
We had like because we talked about for like most of 2 episodes about 2018 World Juniors team.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's why. I think there was a lot that happened. So we'll see where the news lands us. There's rumors to be that GMs have let players know that potentially there could be moves over 4 Nations break. So we will see if we will have a multitude of trades to talk about or not. But we will see. And overall about like the Leafs West Coast road trip, because compared to how it went last year, it did not go this well.
No.
I think it was a good road trip overall. You win the road trip. You go 3-1 over the course of 4 games, which at the end of the day, you can't. I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm sorry. Like, I know people are going to be like, well, I should have won if they like should have won against Vancouver. At the end of the day,
you can't win every game.
You can't win every game, and 3-1. I think I would have to look at the standings actually again. Sorry.
Hmm.
They got rid of the little oh my. Keeps you we're 3 points behind Florida because they're win against Ottawa, but like now you're 2 points above Tampa, 6 points above wild card spot. Like it keeps you in that top group going into a break where no one's playing any games. So, and you have games in hand to Florida as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of good, I should say, for the Leafs. A lot of good for the Leafs in terms of, and I think the teams that you play Carolina, which is always going to be a tough matchup, and then you play Boston. I think I don't want to say Boston. I know New York and Chicago are in there at the end of this month, but overall, can't be mad.
No.
But oh yeah, no, it is Boston. So you got Chicago, Boston, New York to end the month. And then you're into a very crazy, very busy month of March. But I think now, you switch the focus to Four Nations. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Four Nations. Four Nations break is officially underway with the first game getting played on Wednesday in Montreal, and it's Canada versus Sweden. Very exciting. But to the Leafs have 3 representatives at Four Nations now that Jani Hakapa is not going due to injury. You got Austin Matthews for Team USA, Mitch Marner for Team Canada, and William Nylander for Team Sweden. The first day of practice was today for all 4 countries. So we got to see these some lineups, some lines. We got to see, how potentially these teams could roll out in games for Canada, USA, and Sweden. Finland had 11 skaters, 2 goalies on the ice for their practice. Now, I don't know if maybe it was a travel thing that was keeping players travel, or if it was an injury, or if it was ill. Like, honestly, it could have been a travel situation in terms of, I'd have to see the list of like who was not on the ice for Team Finland in terms of maybe it was a travel thing. I know there's been a little bit of inclement weather in various parts of North America, so you never know. But some notable lines. We can start off the top with Team Canada. In terms of talking about lines, these are from Elliot Friedman. In terms of some lines that we have. Okay, he doesn't put them all together. This is so annoying. Like 7 different messages. Actually, wait, no. I retweeted one that was all put together nicely from Kenzie Lalonde. Hold on, we're going to use that one instead. But yeah, Team Canada lines. I'm going to read them out just as is because I think that's the best way to do this. And then we can discuss certain ones. The top line starting with Reinhart, Sam Reinhart, Connor McDavid, Mitch Marner, Mark Stone, Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Des Jarvis, Braden Point, Brad Marchand, Brandon Hagel, Anthony Cirelli, Sam Bennett. That's your forward group. Your defensive group is Devon Taves, Cale Makar, Josh Morrissey, Colton Parayko, Shea Theodore, and Drew Doughty, who last minute was announced to be replacing the injured Alex Pietrangelo. I think we called this when we were talking about it in terms of who potentially could replace Pietrangelo. Travis Sanheim was the extra defenseman, and Travis Konechny was out due to illness. Super Bowl hangover. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles on that one. But yeah, I like this. Okay. We've seen probably about like 7 different projected lineups for Team Canada specifically. They were all different. They all could be good. And none of them looked like this. And yet this one still excites me. Because Travis Konechny, even though he's hurt, literally can slot into anywhere in that bottom 6, which is where you'd put him anyways. Literally, he could slot into anywhere in that bottom 6, and you're still like, hey, this is a pretty good lineup. That top line though of Sam Reinhart, Connor McDavid, Mitch Marner, I am so excited for. That looks so good.
Okay.
Um, that is going to be really awesome and cool to see. Um, the one shock was that Mark Stone is that high up in the lineup. Maybe that's just because I'm a little bit mean because I'm like, that's an old line with Stone, Crosby, and Crosby there. But I mean, it would have been the same point of like, hey, that's an old line if you put Brad Marchand on and you've done the Nova Scotia line. But I think, it's kind of smart to stick, to keep Nathan McKinnon with Sidney Crosby. I think that's like no surprise.
Yeah.
I'm that one.
No.
And then I do want to take a moment to highlight the bottom six in terms of those two bottom six, like those two bottom lines in terms of those could be like NHL first lines
Yeah.
on basically every team. You could run that, like teams would probably consider running that in their top six. Like every team in the NHL would be like, oh, if that was my top six, that'd be fantastic. And here they are as your bottom six. And so my whole theme for Team Canada is in terms of like outscore your problems and be really, really annoying. That's kind of like because that bottom six is going to be so annoying to play against. It's going to be so annoying to play against. In terms of the fact that they're also really good. Like, I'm sorry, I don't like Brandon. There's a reason why I don't like Brandon Hagel, and that's because he's good. Like, I'm sorry, it's the point where it's like, I look at that line, and except for maybe Seth Jarvis, but like, all of those guys annoy the heck out of me when their teams play against the Leafs. Like, and if they're all guys that the Leafs have played in the playoffs within the past, like, 2 years. Literally, past 2 years.
Yeah.
Except for Seth Jarvis, but like, so it's like you know them quite well in this like high intensity sort of game environment, and I'm excited to see what that forward group does in terms of like it to show like the depth of this. And I also say like, okay, you can comment what you want about like the rest, like the defense, the defensive pairs are still pretty good, and you can say what you want about the goaltending, but like how good and how deep of a team you have to have where Mitch Marner's on your second power play unit.
It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. But I will also do a quick read through of the groups for USA and Sweden as well. They are Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Matthew Tkachuk, Jake Gensel, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, Brady Tkachuk, JT Miller, Matt Boldy, Brock Nelson, Vincent Trocheck, and then they had Dylan Larkin and Chris Kreider rotating in together. That's the forward group. The defensive the D pairs were Jacob Slavin, Adam Fox, Zach Werenski, Charlie McAvoy, Noah Hannafin, Brock Faber, and Jake Sanderson, who was replacing the injured Quinn Hughes. And who pulled out of the tournament due to injury late the other night, and apparently it was not an easy decision for him to make. I think apparently it is an oblique issue that is bothering him, according to Elliot Friedman, multiple times on Saturday Night Headlines. I was back with those this week because I was not at a Sens game on a Saturday for the first time in 2 weeks. But
I missed your little tweet. I missed it.
But yeah, what I have to say about this forward group is like it looks underwhelming to me. And like it's obvious that like Canada by and far has the deeper forward group out of any of the 4 countries. That's just a fact about just Canada in general and all those sorts of things. But like I don't understand this at all. And maybe some of it comes from player selection. I don't know. I just look at this and I'm confused. I'm left confused. In terms of
Mm.
lineup decisions, in terms of like what you're trying to achieve. Some of that is just like the fact that, and I don't mean this in a negative way at all, but like you can tell that most of these guys came through the US National Development Program
Mm.
just by the fact that it's a lot of the same type of player. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because people are going to be like, "Oh, does that mean like it's worth?" It's like it's not a bad thing. It's just stating a fact and it's something that like you need those types of players in an NHL roster and that it just is something that becomes apparent when you put a bunch of, your country's top forwards in a lineup together and you're like, "Huh, there's not a lot differentiating like that middle six. I don't know.
Yeah.
Middle bottom six. But
Hmm.
in terms of, even without Quinn Hughes though, that blue line looks great.
Yeah.
I don't even know who would be your like at this point, like I don't even know who would be your like extra defenseman if you had Quinn Hughes in there. Probably
Mm.
no. Would it be Noah Hannafin or would it be Brock Faber?
Hmm.
Depends on like what USA wants to value and like what John Hines wants to do. But yeah, and their goaltending as well. You got Connor Hellebuck, who leads the league in about 7 million categories. You have Jake Gottender, who's really good. You have uh, Jeremy Swayman, who's really good. Like, yeah. And then going to Sweden, Sweden, you have William Nylander, Mika Zibanejad, Rickard Rakell, Adrian Kempe, Elias Pettersson, and then Philip Forsberg, Jesper Bratt, Joel Eriksson Ek, and then Lucas Raymond. And then it's Nyquist, Elias Lindholm, and Arvidsson, and then Leo Carlson is the extra forward. Defenseman, Hedman, Brodin, I should say, sorry, Ekholm, Carlson, Dahlin, Anderson, and Forsling is sick today and not practicing. Maybe it is true, the rumors that William Nylander and Elias Pettersson do not get along because why are they not on a line together? Much love to Mika Zibanejad, but
Mm.
why are you putting why are you not putting William Nylander and Elias Pettersson together? But maybe it's true they do not like each other. Who knows? There was that rumors from like last year's All-Star game that they don't like each
Mm.
other, which I think is funny. But also as well for goaltending, they have Philip Gustafsson, Linus Ullmark, and Samuel Ersson. Honestly, you start Gustafsson that first game. Much love to Linus Ullmark, who is a Vezina winner, but start Gustafsson the first game
Yeah.
against Canada and go from there. Um, but yeah, Finland did not have a full practice or anywhere close to. They only had 11 skaters on the ice. They have had a lot of issues in terms of injuries,
Yeah.
um, in terms of also just like not knowing, um, not knowing who's going to even play for them. Rasmus Ristolainen was a last minute pullout and was replaced by Madame Polo from the Ottawa Senators, which had a lot of people going, who? Which is very fair. I saw a lot of Sens butthurt being like, what do you mean who? Like, he's played 18 NHL games.
Yeah, like in the nicest way
I'm
possible. Who?
literally, if I did not cover the Ottawa Senators, I'd have no idea who this guy is. I
Hmm.
literally would. I also want to say, in terms of like, the who is extremely valid because Travis Green has been playing Hamonic over Madame Polo a lot recently. Like, truly, it is who. It's fine. You can
Hmm.
say who. Like, it's not like,
Yeah.
but
Finland is going through it at the moment. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
But yeah, so those are some like first day of practice lines for nations. I don't know, tournament starts Wednesday. Found
Oh.
out that we found out that the overtime format though, except for the final, which is just unlimited overtime until someone wins, is 10 minutes of 3-on-3.
Oh,
So yeah.
interesting.
It's fine. It'll only get about 45 seconds in before someone forgets how to play defense and Canada scores and wins. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's 10 minutes of 3-on-3 overtime. But game again, I feel like there's not much I can add besides games start Wednesday. It's airing on Sportsnet in Canada, on NHL Network
Mm.
in the US, and wherever Mara watches hockey in the UK.
I'm NHL TV.
Oh, I forgot you do get that. We don't, because we don't get that here.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah. I mean, I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I
I feel
have
like
my piece of breaking news, which is Joseph will post on Instagram. That's
yeah,
my headline.
yesterday.
And my only note from it is just all caps loser in
And
the
we
most
say that like,
affectionate way possible.
yeah, I was gonna say, it was like we say that
Like we say it
with so
lovingly.
much, yeah, we say it with so much love,
So much love.
but
But oh, Joseph Wall. Thing is, I just sat down to eat my dinner. I'd been on Instagram a minute before he posted. And then I sit down and I'm like, right, perfect. I'm gonna watch some Hell's Kitchen. I'm gonna enjoy my pasta. Emma FaceTimes me. Check Instagram. I check Instagram. I think the first thing I said, I just yelled loser. But yeah, that's my breaking news of the week. Just a full sign of life. Yippee. Huge day for a
yep,
small group of people on the internet.
yep.
I don't know, that was my headline.
Solid headline.
Thank you.
Um,
I
yeah, I
tried
was trying to
very
think if
hard.
there was like,
I don't think anything else has happened. No.
I'm trying to think of like anything else has happened, and like I can't
Mm.
think of anything.
No. I don't think so.
Um,
Hmm.
but I will say, and some non-hockey related news. I watched the Super Bowl last night. You did not. You went to bed.
Yeah, I went to
I watched
bed.
the Super Bowl. It was not gonna lie, it was boring. I watched it with my roommate, Rachel, and we literally sat there. And like after like halfway through the third quarter, we're like, this is getting like kind of mean. We literally were sitting there and we were like,
Oh god.
is this okay? Like
Yeah.
it's over, right? But the half I don't did you go have you watched the halftime?
I've watched the halftime show. Yes. That's like the
Okay.
first thing I did when I woke up this morning. That's a lie, it's the second thing. The first thing I checked Twitter, the first 10 tweets I saw were all about the halftime show, and I was like, well, I might as well just go watch it now.
Yeah. Um
Insane.
It was fantastic.
Very good.
Not that I'm a huge like I'm not necessarily like a big listener of Kendrick Lamar's music, mostly just because rap
Mm.
isn't always necessarily my thing.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the music I like to listen to. My music taste very much is dictated by songs I can sing along to.
Mm.
Um, it's
Mine
kind
is
of like how I like to describe my music taste is songs I can sing along to. Um, but I do enjoy, quite a few of Kendrick's songs, and I did recognize quite a few of them because I am like a 21-year-old girl. Like,
yeah. It's like it's the same with me. I can't
uh,
say he's gonna pop up in my Spotify Wrapped. Like my top three artists at the moment: Skippinish, Noah Khan, and Hans Zimmer. There's a bit of a difference. I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie.
But I will say though, like SZA's performance as well, because she was there. Fantastic.
Incredible. Incredible.
Fantastic. That was a song I knew. I knew all the stars.
Yeah.
Loved it. That is like one of the few, I don't want to say one of the few, but that is a Kendrick song that I do listen to quite regularly. Also, his feature on Bad Blood by Taylor Swift. Also listen to that
Yep.
because it's the superior version of that song.
So true.
Um, but yeah, like also like Not Like Us, of course. Raised. Like, sorry, if I'm Drake, I'm not showing my face in public ever again.
I am finding a cave on a mountain, moving in, and that's it.
Like, you're not seeing me again, ever again. I will say though, it was like the like Serena Williams was there. It's just the artistry of it was beautiful.
It was unreal.
And sorry if you think it was bad, it's because you're dumb.
Yeah.
If you thought that halftime show was bad and you don't understand like this like the storytelling and like what it meant and what it represented and everything and like the different aspects and the artistry behind it, like having Samuel Jackson as Uncle Sam, it was huge in the way of it was very topical to the current political
Yeah.
climate, especially in the US. Just fantastic. The performance was great.
It was great.
Like having an entire NFL stadium of people say A minor on live national television,
Oh.
cinematic. I like just it was fantastic. It was a great
Mm.
also as well, the one point, and because these are the highlights that you see on social media over and over again. That one image still of Kendrick like walking in front of
Yeah.
the camera, eye contact with the most like maniacal grin on his face, going,
Oh, it's
"Say
brilliant.
Drake." Like
Brilliant.
you, the one mean image, absolute,
Yeah. Indeed.
absolute, absolute cinema. But
Oh.
yeah, just yeah, and Super Bowl always fun to watch in terms of just like yes, it there cultural touchstone, I should say as well. But yeah, congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles, the city of Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and the team. You won it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Um, it's baseball season now. I feel like
Your time has come.
my time has come. It's time to talk about Blue Jays spring training that starts in 2 weeks for sure.
Oh. I bet you're really
But
looking forward to talking about it and me just sitting here and like nodding
wait till we
along.
have Casey back on the show and we just talk about baseball the entire time.
I just like, yeah. I know
But
baseball.
yeah, I don't know if we have anything else to talk about. It's kind of a short one this week, but that's just because we had 2 games to get through, and then there hasn't been a ton of
Yeah.
news in terms of the NHL or anything like that.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't want to like fall into the trap of talking about like trade boards and things like that. We don't
Hmm.
really need to.
Yeah.
So that being said, I think we'll end it here. We will be back. Will we be back on Thursday? That's actually a really good question.
That is a good question. Hmm.
We might not be because of not even because of the fact that it's Four Nations and nothing like that we might not have anything to talk about. We'll have games to talk about. But like
Hmm.
schedule wise.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about my schedule for that day.
Oh yeah. It took me a minute.
So you might, if you're wondering, maybe if you're listening to this like right first thing, like when this comes out on Monday night or first thing Tuesday morning, you might have no idea what we're talking about. But if you're talking, but it'll all become apparent what we're referencing. We might not have an episode on Thursday. If we don't, we will have a really awesome long one next week, probably with Cody. So I'm excited about that. I don't know how to end it because I can't say see you on Thursday because we might not be
So next
here on
time.
Thursday. I don't like that. That was like when we ended the season last year.
I'll see you soon.
But on that note, thank you guys so much for listening. We will be back at some point in the next week to talk about Four Nations, to talk about some other things. We'll probably have we'll see. We'll talk about it. Yeah. In the meantime, though, you can find the show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow the show on Twitter so you never miss another episode at From the Fourth Line. That's fourth with the number 4TH. We're presented by Offside News. You can also find Offside News on every social media platform at Offside News Co. And you can also find every articles. I'm sure there's a bunch of Four Nations content that's going to be coming
Oh,
out from us probably, and I also have like a Sens recap I have to finish and write and get up, so you can find that though when that's all there at offsidenewsco.com. And if you miss Marcie and I between episodes, I really do think that if you don't already with Four Nations, you should go follow the two of us on Twitter because we're hilarious, we're so funny.
really?
At 60 Leaves for Mercy, at Paraby1 for myself. Thank you so much for listening. In the meantime, um, we'll see you next time. I don't know if whether to say go Leafs go or go Canada go.
Go Canada, go.
Go Canada
Go Canada,
go. United by the Commonwealth. Bye, guys.